Russia's invading forces have bombed civilians in Kyiv, Kharkiv and elsewhere in Ukraine in the past 48 hours, prompting fears of rising casualties and growing questions as to whether the West could step up military, economic or other efforts to help. Here are some of the options and the risks. After war broke out last week, Ukraine's ambassador to the UK, Vadim Prystaiko, called for the West to implement a no-fly zone over his country, arguing people are dying as we speak, and the idea has captured the imagination of many as the bombing worsens. Creating airspace where Russian aircraft cannot fly would need to be enforced militarily, typically with surveillance, preemptive strikes and ultimately by downing banned aircraft. This would mean NATO forces engaging directly with Russian planes. Western leaders have repeatedly said it would not be possible for NATO to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine because, in the words of the UK Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, it would lead to a war against Russia across the whole of Europe as Western jets would have to seize control of the skies. But Tobias Ellwood, the Conservative chair of the Defence Committee, complained that Wallace should have not ruled the idea out so publicly at least. This shows we've forgotten the rules of post-Cold War statecraft by exhibiting weakness and failing to keep the enemy guessing, even if you've privately ruled the option out, the MP said. Boris Johnson, on a visit to Estonia on Tuesday, said the UK, in common with other Western nations, will not fight Russian forces in Ukraine. A doubling of British forces to nearly 2,000 in the Baltic country were nothing more than defensive measures, he added. There has been no political will to let Ukraine join NATO, although that has left Kyiv to fend for itself now it is under Russian attack. A more realistic focus, said Prof. Malcolm Chalmers from the RUSI think tank, would be for NATO to carry on reinforcing its eastern flank, increasing the size of garrisons from Romania in the south to Estonia in the north. NATO had already said it would deploy thousands of troops from its combat-ready response force to the territory of its Eastern European members. The US alone had sent a further 12,000 troops. But that will do little to help Kyiv directly. The US and UK supplied anti-tank weapons to Ukraine before fighting started. Once Russia invaded, many more including Germany, Sweden and the Netherlands followed up with both anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons. Yet to withstand the Russian onslaught, supplies will need to continue. The most important thing is to provide weapons the Ukrainians are used to operating, like handheld anti-air systems and lots of anti-tank missiles, Chalmers said. Ukrainian forces will also need the basics, ammunition and fuel, and open supply lines, meaning logistics inside and outside Ukraine will be critical. But a bolder plan, to send Russian-made MiG-29 and Su-25 jets, of the kind familiar to Ukraine's pilots, from Poland, Slovakia, Romania, and Bulgaria collapsed earlier this week. It is not clear how realistic the proposal was, but if the plan was to revive it, it could provide help to Kyiv's beleaguered air force. The biggest step the West could take to hurt Russia's economy is considered to be the blocking of energy exports. So far this has been resisted because of the damage it would cause for European nations reliant on the gas supply. Sanctions for Russian banks and the country's central bank are having the biggest impact on its economy. In an early sign of the damage, the Moscow Stock Exchange remains closed, while the ruble plunged almost 30% on Monday after steps to freeze reserves held overseas by the Russian central bank. Boris Johnson has announced new anti-corruption measures, including the imposition of sanctions on Russian oligarchs. But implementation has been slow, and only 9 individuals have been targeted by the UK so far, with the EU putting sanctions on far more. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.